Amy, I'm here to show you some things about Valuable. I've got two valuable apps. One on the left is iOS, one on the right is Android, and you're setting up an estate sale. What do you need to know? What is it you're looking for?
How do I start? I hear that I can have multiple collections, but my team's all arriving tomorrow and I just want to get us
Okay.
going.
Okay, so first thing you want to do is make sure everybody has downloaded the Valuable app from their app store, Android
Okay.
or iOS. Have everybody log into it with the same password, and everybody will have the same access to the same items. That will let everybody go around the house as fast as they can. You got 5, 10, however many people you have, they can all be shooting the items in the house and getting those quickly into inventory. So that's the first thing you need to know. And then the second thing is you want to set up a collection for them. So I've already done this for you. I've created, so add collection. You can add a collection, but I've already done that. So you can go into this new client collection. You can add some details if you like. I've just left it blank. And you can see that's the same collection over here. And we have both set this as our default collection, right? So if I wanted to go to a different collection, I could go to my shopping list collection and I could set this as my default. And that means any new assets I create will go into that collection. So that's an easy way for everybody to get the assets into the right client. Now,
Oh,
if anybody made the mistake of adding it to a different client, no problem. Say I did that here. So here's my wooden replica of a standing Buddha statue, and it's in the wrong collection. It's in my shopping list, right? So I just select it and I take it and I select my new client and I move it and it's over there. And you see it's already over here.
oh,
I can go into there. I've got one here and move it to new client. And I got one over here. Got two over here. I'm going to select all, move it to my new client. And now this one has all four of those items. So that's how you set up a team in a client. That will be changing soon. We're going to have a really great way for you to add groups and teams and give this team access to these assets and this team access to those, and all having their own accounts, their own login IDs. All of that's coming real soon. But for now, that's the way you work a team. And yeah, you've got 15, 20, however many people you have,
okay.
they can all be working on the same sheet of paper, the same view of
Awesome.
items.
Very cool.
All right. Thanks.
You.
Hey, Amy,
Hey, John.
what do you want to learn next about Valuable?
Okay, let's go to inventory.
All right. The first thing about inventory is it's just snap, snap, snap. So if you're running an estate sale or if you have a team, you can, as we showed before, here are two versions of the app, one on iPhone on the left and one on Android on the right. And your whole team, as many users as you want, can be on Valuable at the same time in the same environment, all on the same piece of paper. And all you need to do now is start snapping pictures, right? So say I'm in a room and I've got stuff to inventory. I need to do it really quick. I'm going to, and say the person on the right with the Android is watching for the stuff that I'm going to go shoot, right? So you're the pricer and the triager and the marketing prep person, and you're on the right, and I'm running around the house adding items on the left, right? So I'm going to go, boom, add asset. And in this case, I'm going to do this with the gallery, and I'm going to pick my favorite. Here's a Angelo silver spoon. And I'm going to say, now I know some things about this serving fork. This is a fish serving fork. So I'm going to dictate that by clicking on the microphone button. And if you don't see that microphone button, go into your settings on iPhone or Android and into the Valuable app settings. You should see transcription turn on, and then that'll work. And you can just turn that on and say, this is a Angelo silver, sterling silver fish serving knife. Boom. And that all goes in there. And you notice that I've said a few extra words here. It doesn't really matter because it's going to go in the AI. You don't have to worry about being perfect. So you turn that on, all that stuff doesn't mean anything. But sterling silver fish serving knife is in there. And now the AI is going to be aware of that. And boom, it's in there. And you notice on the right, there it is too. So everything that you do on any of your phones, visible to every team member in this group, in this collection. And so you can have your pricer just sitting there on the couch doing all of that. So I'm going to go in there. And while I'm doing that, I'm looking at that, I'm going to add another one. And I'm going to say, let's do this beautiful clock. And I don't have any details about that, so I won't dictate it. And sure enough, that's going on. And I can just keep on adding items while you're over here on the right. Oh, Angelo Sterling silver fish knife. Perfect. That's exactly that's right. Here's asset details about it. Lovely. Crafted 19th century, early 20th century. I like this result, so I'm going to hit thumbs up. And here we are. All the information you could want. Really important is that the pricing research will go on. And what we're doing is we're collecting a ton of market information from various private and public sources. And that's all going into finding the right matches of this item. Now, I know in this case that this is around $1,000, very expensive fish serving knife. So I'm going to look at these other groups that are, have visual similarity, but in this case, yeah, they're not. This group includes silver plated. So I know this is sterling silver. This is not silver plated. And then we always include sort of anything else that we found out there in the research that might be interesting, but it maybe doesn't have a price on it or what have you, or that they're accessories. There's all sorts of stuff that comes up that might be interesting and useful. We don't want to deprive you of having that, but it's in this last group. So I'm going to get rid of that group too, just for now. And what do we have left? We have these two groups, 588, and I'm going to keep both of those. And I'm going to go up into sales tools. And yeah, there's my distribution, right? Right. Most of them are right around that $1,000 mark. And I'm going to tap that price. And there you go. We've captured an item. We've triaged it. And we're getting it ready for sales. And by the way, over here, while that was happening, we've got a new one, the grandfather clock, right?
So one thing, John, that you didn't show people is that you can take up to 6 photos of an item.
That's right. And if you didn't take them all, you can add more by just clicking on that button I just clicked on, the plus button. And I think I even do have another clock face right there. And I even have a third one, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah. That was
right?
fast.
That was fast. Yeah. So it's all instant. Yeah. An inscription. So if I wanted to, at this point, I could regenerate this item entirely. And I'm going to hit confirm. And now it's going to research that asset. See on the right, it's researching, it's doing the same thing on the right. So all of your team members are seeing the same stuff in real time. The only thing is when you're looking at the list and people are adding stuff really fast, you're going to want to pull down. So you can pull down on the list to refresh it. The list won't add things automatically. So you'll just refresh
Right.
And that's
So if I'm understanding this correctly, I could have a team of 3 or 4 or 5 people inventorying every item of the house or every interesting item, whatever you choose, all while my top best pricers are determining what we're going to sell these
right.
items for.
And you'll notice that this regeneration of the asset with the presence of a poem affixed to the interior suggests a personal or sentimental significance. So it actually picked that up and got that into the AI and used it searches. You can also go through and change categories, add a category, edit categories. And then here's the last cool thing. Record a personal video. So say I'm out there and I know some things about this item. And maybe it's special. Maybe the owner told us something about it. You want to add that to the item, right? You can record a video that is attached to this asset as well. It's really handy for antiques dealers, but also for potentially estate sale owners and others, and certainly for family estate managers.
Nice.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
That is capturing and inventorying your item.
Hey,
Amy.
John.
What do you want to learn about value next?
Okay, I want to know about this superpower. Yeah, AI.
Yeah. So one of the things that people really always tell us is, hey, I don't need anybody. I'm a great appraiser. I'm a great estate salesperson. I don't need anybody telling me what the price of something is. And they're right, because pricing is something that's very subjective. Who knows what the price of a thing is until somebody offers you the price? We give you effectively kind of AccuWeather for the market. And we also then, and it's really not even about pricing as much as it is sales prep and getting into the right channel, knowing what you need to know, and managing all that inventory with AI powered data. You own every item of inventory. And you also own something else, which is the training, the teaching of the AI.
Okay.
So here you can have a chat about this asset with your AI. It's your AI, and you can teach that AI how to value things and how to approach things. If you're a company that has a training manual about how to evaluate things, you could put it all in here. And in fact, I've already put something in here. I've said, I'm running an estate sale in the middle class neighborhood in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that's context for the AI. You can also put in, I don't trust online retail prices. If I see anything from this or that retail website, discount it by 40%. I could do that.
Mm.
You can really get detail. If you're a really experienced, smart team or person doing evaluation of assets, especially in high volume where you're getting a bunch of inventory, and you want to not create a force multiplier for yourself, right? You're kind of creating a special digital twin of your own brain, how you work. And that assistant gives you superpowers, right? So your whole team is getting the benefit of your knowledge, and they can also add their own knowledge. And now you're building up equity in your team, your organization, and you own it. You own everything you put in here. And we will be expanding this, making it more elaborate, adding documents and other things as we go. So right now you can just save that instruction, and you can say, hey, now you can have a complete discussion with your AI about this. So you can say, how would you price this?
Okay. So
Right. And
knowing
you're,
middle class neighborhood in Raleigh and I'm holding an estate sale.
yeah. So, okay, with the additional information, let's refine on pricing. Given that the clock dates the 18th and 19th century, I'd recommend pricing this 25 to 45. And say, that seems a little wide. This clock looks pristine. What is the trend in this area for this kind of item? Right. So you can have a complete argument with the AI. Say, I don't think you're right. And it'll discuss it with you, and you can get smarter and smarter. So now it's going to tell you all sorts of stuff. Canario
Oh,
pricing by as much as $1,000, right? So given the pristine condition of the clock, local market trends, I'd suggest maybe revising that up to 3,500. And if we can talk more, we can get more detailed. How much rarity is going on? What's the maker? Do we know if it's a Howard Miller or Ridgway? Because the pictures didn't tell us that. So it's already prompting you for things you might not have thought of. Do you have any provenance condition? Do you see any on the web from local auctions like this to help? You can even say, and this is really very valuable, you can say, hey, I don't want to sell this online. Say that this item didn't sell on the estate sale or something like that. You want to sell it individually. Hey, look at that. So here, slide grandfather clock sold for $4.99 at Monster Estate Sales. Right?
oh
So
wow.
that's given these local sites and the condition would likely be appropriate. You can also consult with local antique dealers. And as more and more dealers and companies add their inventory to Valuable, that can get very, very accurate and very uncannily good. But even without that, it's web aware. So it's going out and looking around. Who are the good antiques dealers in this topic? And it'll
Hmm.
tell you. So that's really highly valuable, and it's getting better and better all the time. But that's when we talk about superpowers, adding those special instructions. You can add those instructions you can add your merchant ID if you have one, or you can name your company, and you can change your instructions here in your profile.
Oh, very good.
More and more elaborate. We'll make it so that your groups can have different instructions for different groups, all sorts of stuff.
Okay. Well, that was a good example of something unique. Whereas, with a Pyrex dish or something like that, it wouldn't require that level. But that's a huge time savings compared to what I find typically in Google Lens and other type searches. So that was
Yeah,
very
I mean,
satisfying.
you in 20 seconds you'll have the market data. You'll be able to set your prices. You'll be able to set your marketing. We'll talk about that in the next video. For those things that you really want to kind of dig into and research, you've got it all right there in the app.
Nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Hi, John.
What do you want to know about Valuable now?
Okay. So I've added some assets and
Yep.
now I want to review them, maybe even make some edits, nail down my prices. So, can you
Okay.
show me how to
Well,
do
let's start by talking about how to find the assets, right? You can find them by collection. If you have a whole bunch of collections, very soon in the summer, those will be turned into groups. So you'll be able to share groups. You'll be able to manage who gets to have access to them. You can share with your friends or your colleagues or your teams. You can create groups for all that. Right now, we call those collections. And you can select assets. Right now, we're going to talk about searching. So if you only have a few assets, then it's easy enough. But as they get to be in the hundreds or thousands or millions, you got to be able to find them fast. We have several ways to do that. If they're all in the same collection, that's one thing. But we have pretty advanced management. So you can sort by different things, by the date, the name, estimates. You can filter. And we're actually changing filtering by location to something else. But you can even say, well, I only want antique silverware. All of the categories have been created organically by finding assets available to you. If you add another asset and it has antique silver, you won't see it until you remove that, right? So you can also just search. You can say fish, right? There's the fish serving knife, right? So you can search real quick, or you can filter and sort, and that's all super, hopefully pretty obvious and easy. It's just sometimes people forget that it's there. So you can search here. And you can turn all that off by hitting the search button. So now if we want to go into any particular item, let's go into this one. And I'll show you again. We have the Android version on the right and the iPhone version on the left. And we have the same stuff in here. So here's the grandfather clock. We have these 3 different pictures. And oops, I made a mistake. This picture shouldn't have been in this grandfather clock. It's wrong clock. So I'm going to just get rid of that.
Okay.
And notice that both the left and right, the Android version, everybody's seeing that there's now only 2 pictures, as they should.
Well,
Right.
first, John, let's say I don't want it to be an antique grandfather clock. Maybe I just want to call it a grandfather clock.
Well, the easiest thing
Or,
to do is to say
okay.
grandfather clock. Now, keep your eyes peeled on the right, and you'll see that, sure enough, now it's going to say grandfather clock on the right too.
Right.
Other people will see the edits.
Okay. So, like the asset details where I get these amazing descriptions, maybe I want to put some of those on the sales tag.
Yep. So let's go over that fish knife, right? All these
Okay.
details in here. And we can see that we have asset details. In the case of something that has a story to it, this Buddha statue, right? There's not only details, but also some history and provenance. Replica statues serve as accessible art forms, kind of goes into some detail, which is handy. And then you can, if there's only one item in the picture, then it'll usually come up with 1. But if you had 5 knives, it should come up with a quantity of 5. But you can always
That's
edit it here, just touch on it and change the quantity. And
okay.
okay,
That's great.
And you can change the collection, or in the future, this will be groups. You can change which group this is part of, easy peasy, by going to this. And then you have your categories. You can change your categories here. You can say, well, actually, decorative arts isn't a category I really want to be using. Boom, it's gone. Or you can select a different, oh, it is a figurine. I want figurines in there. Or I can create a whole new category that doesn't exist yet in my set. So
Okay.
it's easy peasy. And then, as we showed in another video, you can record a personal video just by clicking this button. And that video can be of somebody telling the story of this clock, or the person that owned it, or a lot of antique dealers tell me about how they buy something like a riding crop and that sold it to them. They'll get them on videos talking about it, and that's pretty cool. Can enhance the value of an item. So you arrange everything in tabs like this vertically. So asset details, sales, and pricing research. So the next thing is, and the first thing we wanted you to see was pricing research. So that's the first top card here on the bottom. And in another video, we showed how we group all these items up. Now, but the one thing I didn't mention in that video was being able to actually go right into, in this case, it was an Etsy item. It was sold. And so you have all this detail. Etsy, Cherish, Leland Little, any public website, anything that we find in terms of public research will be there. This is how we do that. And so you can look at any of these items, you can delete any of them, and you can go into really as much detail and research. This is from Gretchen Scott Designs, and there it is. And it was sold. It's 47 inches, etc. You can validate your market research right there. This is a whole different process. We have market insights. So in this case, it's analyzing the low price range, medium price range, any trends that we pick up on whether this sort of thing is going up or down in value. We do that analysis, and all of that is in here for you to read up on. So especially for those high value items where you really want to get a good picture of what the range of motion is and what you should be thinking about. Even some of our most experienced pricing people and evaluators will say that sometimes they're surprised. They're like, oh, I had not thought about that.
Oh, okay.
And then finally, sales tools. Once you've pruned out your groups, you'll see this histogram that'll give you a real clear idea of where the prices are at for this item out there in the market research that we found. And then you get to decide. You say, well, yeah, I see most of this is right around the 2,000 to 4,000. So I'm going to put it right at, 2,500. Right. So there it is, 2,500. And I want to add a barcode to it. Boom. I've got a barcode. I've got a product ID. I can generate it, or I can type in my own. And you can print sales tags. You can also add acquisition price, data sold, all of that, notes on the buyer, notes on the sale. All that can go in. And as we integrate with POS systems and other ways of doing the actual sale, that all goes in. And so you have a complete end-to-end, you have one range of motion from capturing stuff, setting up your team, inventorying it, triaging it, pricing it, selling it, and then imagine the value of having all of this detail, all this data, the pictures, the data, the sale prices, the hammer prices, all of that forever in an AI-enabled data system that you own. You own the data. You own the intelligence behind the AI. We cannot use that data. If we find a monetization opportunity, we have to cut you in on it. We have to call you and say, hey, would you like to participate in this monetization opportunity? We can't just take your data and use it without you being involved. So I think that's really important when we talk about private information. This is all private data that you own. Every time you create an asset or teach your AI, nobody else gets that but you. Finding an asset in your inventory and managing it and editing it. One last cool thing, of course, we've discussed in other videos about chat, but one of the cool things here is your asset with chat. So you could say, This is actually an original from 1890. I just made that up. Let's say it is. And it'll say, oh, well, in that case, there's new information, and you can update the item, and it will update. It'll research that item, and sure enough, over here, everybody else is seeing it as well. And so that's another way to edit or update your asset, is with the AI itself. So now it's an antique she won't wear figurine of a court lady, right? So it's made that stuff. How's that, Amy?
That's really helpful. Certainly, I'd say that's a superpower.
See you the next time. Hey, Amy.
Hi, John.
What do you want to learn about Valuable today?
Okay. So I'm ready. I've got my house inventoried, and it's time to prepare for the sale. And now what? I need price tags.
Right.
I have
Social marketing.
Oh, I definitely need to put it on my business Instagram.
Right.
I also, there's a few items I wouldn't mind sending to maybe some of my
like a
most
whole
loyal.
PDF of something.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yes.
think we can take care of that. Right. So we've discussed in other videos how to find and get to your assets, how your teams can all see the same stuff at the same time. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, here's my figurine that we've captured in other videos, and we haven't priced it yet. So we're going to say, well, it looks like about $300. I'm going to call it, oh, I have priced this one. So $125.
Okay.
Call it that, right? So
Yep.
now, real simple. If you just want to create a real fast social network post, hit the share button. And I really love this. It'll generate the correctly framed shot for whatever you want to do. Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, all of those different versions. So I want to do a Facebook story and see how it's now tall and thinner, because that's how that works. You can move the caption up and down if you want to reposition it. You can change the caption. And you'll notice that the caption came up without you having to type anything in. We have a little AI in there, a little bot that takes into account the name of it, the description, some details, and your special instructions that we talked about in another video. If you go into chat or if you go into your profile, you can add your special instructions, and it'll take that into account too. You could even put in there, hey, you could give it examples of the kind of language you like to use for your sales. One of these pictures, especially if you're in estate sales and you're listing this on something like estatesales.net, people really like to be able to read the captions in the picture. And just out of the box, if you're uploading a bunch of pictures to, say, estatesales.net, it takes a long time. You have to add descriptions in each one. It's really not a lot of fun. But with this, you can just bang out your beautifully arranged pictures with the caption right there in the picture. So I really like that. So that's number one. You can also right here switch over to PDFs, and you can share a PDF to whoever you like. And you can say, well, I want all of these items in it. I want the market insights. Or maybe you don't want anybody to see the market insights. You could turn that off.
Oh,
Leave
very
it on for
good.
now, and you can generate that item. If you were on your iPhone and you had messages or texting or Facebook or any other service, your share targets will be there, and you'll be able to just share it to them. But I'm just going to print now just so you can see that you're getting this complete fly sheet of the item. Pretty cool, huh?
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's a details sheet with all of the data. And that's that. So that's how you can share one item, but you can also share by selecting multiple items. You can select all and print sales tags. Add sales tags here. I'm just going to print them. You could also print them to PDF. But as you can see, now you have 8 business card size sales tags with the thumbnail of the item in the sales tag, which allows you to cut down on people switching tags in a sale environment. So we like that a lot. And I think this is the last thing that we wanted to show, export to Excel. So you can take all 4 of these items in this case, or hundreds of items, and you can export them and save them to files and go straight into Excel. I'm going to replace that, and I'm going to go over to files, and sure enough, you'll be able to see this is all that inventory in Excel spreadsheet format with the pictures, the thumbnails of the pictures in.
Well, that's a big deal.
Yep. So all the details of the assets are there in the Excel spreadsheet.
And so I could save this and then go to my desktop or larger screen like an iPad and see this really beautifully.
That's correct. And that is it. That's how you quickly putting into your inventory at the speed of shooting. Boom, 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 boom. Triaged and shared into your team, set up for pricing and marketing, and then getting it into social networking and other, exported to your website or to sales.net or some other marketing site. All of that seamless, top to bottom, and then all the way into pushing that Excel spreadsheet into whatever other systems you might need to use.
It's a robust app, that's for sure.
All right.
I'm good.
All right.
Okay.